Hey barbecue lovers, it is the next morning now, and I've been up since about 4 o'clock this morning. Didn't figure you wanted me to video that early, but it's important for you to understand that if you're going to do good barbecue, particularly bigger cuts of meat, pork butts and big briskets, things like that, it's either going to be a up early in the morning kind of a deal, or it's going to be an all night kind of a deal, whichever you choose to do. For this one I chose just to get up early. So I'm going to kind of catch you up a little bit on what's been going on. I got up about 4, like I said, and I pulled the pork butts out of the cooler where I had them out in the garage, and I'll just set them out. And here's what you want to do. Anytime you're doing anything like this, if you've had it in the refrigerator, you've had it in the cooler, you want to pull it out and you want to let it sit for 30 to 45 minutes just out in room temperature. You don't want to put something on the smoker that's still cold, because then you spend part of your smoking time just getting that piece of meat up to temp. And then really that's true with anything. Even if you're like just grilling steaks at home, or pork chops, or chicken, if you had it in the fridge, maybe you had it marinating, pull that thing out about 30 minutes before you're going to put it on the grill and let it rise to temp. And it's going to cook much better, it's going to cook much easier. So basically I did that at 4 o'clock, and then I got my coals ready, and I put the pork butts on about 5 o'clock this morning. And so I'm going to show you what the pork butts look like right now, and I give you a little sneak peek of those. So they've been on since about 5 o'clock this morning, and when I change out coals, when I add smoke and wood and that kind of stuff, I spritz them a little bit with apple juice just to help keep them nice and moist, and so you just got to kind of get back there on them. But you can see they've already started to color up really well. Now these ribs I just now put on, so they have just been on maybe 10-15 minutes is all, because ribs don't take as long. Ribs are only going to take me about 6.5 hours maybe at the most. And then the other thing that I've just put on as well, getting ready to add coals to it, is that little piece of brisket. Now you can see I'm using a different smoker for the brisket. I'm using, and I'll show that to you again, it's just one of those little kind of what they call a vertical barrel smoker. The reason I'm doing that is I use a different type of wood for the brisket. I'm using hickory and apple for the ribs and the pork butt, but I'm going to use a mesquite wood for the brisket. So I don't want those two types of woods going against each other flavor-wise. So I'm using them on a different smoker. So here's what I'm doing right now. It's time for me to add some more coals to the big smoker. So let me show you over here. Sorry for the filming today. My camera person, my wife, is busy with other stuff this morning. So you want to invest in one of these. They're called a charcoal chimney starter, and you can see I've got a couple of them going here. And basically all you do is you load them up in the bottom with newspaper, and then you pour your coals on the top, and then you light the newspaper and you just let it burn. And so I like to get mine to where they're looking about like that. I don't want to let them burn too far, because then you'll just have to replace them in the smoker more. And all you do is just dump them in that offset firebox. Now that I've got a little bit more fire going in there, now I can also add a little bit more wood. Some people use wood chips. I use wood chunks. And you can get these at Home Depot, you can get them at Lowe's. There's actually a place down in Litchfield Park that sells barbecues and stuff. It's down around Indian School and Dysart, I believe, or Indian School in Litchfield, and they sell local wood that's taken off of local farms, and you can get it in chunk or log form as well. So that's what I use. You're free to use chips if you want to. If you go online, you'll see a lot of people use chips, and they tell you to soak them in water for about an hour. It's your discretion. I like using chunks over chips, and I don't soak them in water. I want them to burn. I want them to get that good full smoke that's going to come off of them when they burn. Now I've grabbed the second set of coals, and I'm pouring it in the coal pan here that my brisket's going to cook over. Let me do that. Again, I apologize for the video quality today. It's kind of hard to do all this one-handed and, you know, not burn yourself and that kind of stuff. And I'm actually going to have to sit this down for just a second so I can get this taken care of. So hang on just a second. I'll be right back with you. Okay, so I've got the coals and the wood in the little vertical smoker where the brisket is, and I've got the coals and the wood in the other smoker, the bigger smoker, which is where the pork butt and the ribs are. And so you can see now we got some smoke rolling off there. Now you're going to lose a little bit of smoke on any smoker here around the door. It's not going to be sealed quite right. You know, the bigger smoker you get, the more expensive smoker you get, the more they're sealed a little bit. But I bought that smoker at Home Depot, and it's done really well. You lose a little bit of smoke, and that's it. And then this vertical smoker right here, again, just called a Brinkmann Smoking Grill. Inexpensive, works really well, and does the trick. So after you add coals and after you kind of go through and get your fire going again, obviously you want to check your temp. And you can see my temp right now is running right around 275, which is right where I want it for pork products. For beef products, you want it about the same, 275, maybe up to 300, but I wouldn't push it too much. And that's the real deal here with smoking. It's got to be low temps, and it's got to be a long process of a cooking time. If you try to rush it, particularly pork or beef, and you try to jack the temperature way up and try to cook it quick, you're not going to achieve the tenderness you want. You're not going to achieve the flavor that you want. You're not going to achieve what you want out of good smoked meat. And so that's where we are right now. So it's a little bit after 9 o'clock. I can let all this stuff go. It'll probably burn 2.5 hours before I have to add anything else to it. And I'll check back with you then.